Hello class, today we'll begin chapter 13, voting and apportionment. In 13.1 we will look at voting methods. Our objectives today are to understand and use preference tables, use the plurality method to determine the election's winner, use the board account method to determine an election's winner, and use the plurality with elimination method to determine an election's winner, and also use the pairwise comparison method to determine an election's winner. So we'll use several different methods to determine an election's winner. It might not be as straightforward as you initially think to determine the winner of an election. So let's first look at preference tables. Preference ballots are ballots in which a voter is asked to rank all candidates in order of preference. For example, 4 candidates are running for president of the Student Film Institute. Paul, represented by P, Rita, represented by R, Sarah, represented by S, and Tim, represented by T. Each of the club's members submits a secret ballot indicating his or her first, second, third, and fourth choice for president. The 37 ballots are shown to the right. So you can see each of these individual ballots here, 1 through 37, and the ranking that they have for each of these individuals. Okay, so someone like the first one ranks it PRST, so they rank Paul first, Rita second, Sarah third, Tim fourth. The second ballot ranks Sarah first, Rita second, Tim third, and Paul fourth, and so on to the 37th ballot. Now, a preference table shows how often each particular outcome occurred. For example, we had 14 ballots that ranked Paul first, Rita second, Sarah third, and Tim fourth. Then we had 10 ballots where we had SRTP, 8 ballots where we had TSRP, 4 ballots where we had RTSP, and 1 ballot where we had STRP. Okay, and we essentially just stack them in stacks based on how they voted. So if we put that into a chart here with the number of votes as our first row, you could see labeled first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, that it's just as what I just read out from the actual stack of ballots here. 14 was PRST, 10 was SRTP, 8 was TSRP, 4 was RTSP, and 1 was STRP. Okay, so this is our preference table here. Okay, now if we look at this, it says 4 candidates are running for mayor of Smallville: Antonio A, Bob B, Carmen C, and Donna D. This is going to be our first example. The voters are asked to rank the candidates in order of preference. The table shows the preference for this election. How many people voted in the election is our first question. All we have to do to determine how many people voted in the election is look at the number of votes in the table right here. And all we have to do with that is total them. So 130 plus 120 plus 100 plus 150 totals up to be 500. How many people selected the candidates in this order? D, B, A, C. Well, I already have it highlighted here in orange, but I'll help you indicate it here as well. D, B, A, C. There were 100 people that voted for that particular order, D, B, A, C. How many people selected Donna, D, as their first choice for mayor? How would we determine this from the table? Well, what we would do is we would go to the first choice row here. So the first choice, looking down here at this table, just another copy of the table from the previous page, we'd look at the first choice row and we would find all indications of Donna. You can already see it highlighted here in orange, but I'll circle it in blue here. Now, it shows that in this ordering, Donna received 120 votes, and in this ordering, Donna received 100 first place votes. So all we have to do is total those together. 120 plus 100 means that Donna got 220 first place votes, and all we had to do was total those together. Donna clearly got, I believe, the most first place votes overall, because A got 130 and C only got 150, whereas Donna got 220 first place votes. Now let's look at some different methods here. You're like, okay, that's pretty straightforward. How could it be any different? Well, let's look at the plurality method. The candidate or candidates, if there is more than one, with the most first place votes is the winner. So The table shows the preference for 4 candidates running for president of the Student Film Institute: Paul P., Rita R., Sarah S., and Tim T. Who is declared winner using the plurality method? Now, how are we going to determine this? Well, the plurality method, as we just stated with the definition, is the winner is the one who gets the most first place votes. Okay, so all we have to do is look at our table here, look at the first choice, and see who got the most first choice votes. Okay, so if we've got our table here and we're looking at first choice, what we could tell is Paul received 14 first place votes, S received 10 plus 1, so 11 first place votes, T received 8, and R received 4. So the one with the most first place votes was indeed P, who is Paul. Okay, so Paul received 14 first place votes. Paul P is the winner and the new president of the Student Film Institute. All right, let's look at the board account method. Each voter ranks the candidates from most favorable to least favorable. Each last place vote is given 1 point. Each next to last place vote is given 2 points. Each third from last place vote is given 3 points, and so on. The points are totaled for each candidate separately, and the candidate with the most points is the winner. So this one isn't as straightforward. So this one, you don't determine the winner just by who gets the most first place votes. There's actually an ordering to it, and the ordering makes a difference because each of your place versus ordering gives you a certain amount of points. Okay, so who is the winner of the Student Film Institute using the boredom method? Same question, same table, but we want to determine who is the winner using the boredom method. Because there are 4 candidates, a first place vote is going to be worth 4 points. A second place vote is worth 3 points. A third place vote is worth 2 points. And a fourth place vote is worth 1 point. So what we have to do with our table now is get a little more intricate with it. Okay, so the number of votes here, remember in our first column, if you look back at the original table, so this semi-original table, the first column is 14, 10, 8, 4, 1. We're taking that same table, right? But we're breaking down using this point method with the boredom. Okay, so we need to do and essentially multiply 14 times 4 for Paul, 14 times 3 for Rita, 14 times 2 for S, and 14 times 1 for T, which I think stands for 10. Okay, now in this table, we'll do the same thing, but we'll use the number 10 because that's the number of votes that this ordering got. So 10 times 4, 10 times 3, 10 times 2, 10 times 1. Then 8 times 4, 8 times 3, 8 times 2, 8 times 1, 4 times 4, 4 times 3, 4 times 2, 4 times 1. We're essentially just multiplying 4s on the top column, 3s on the next column, 2s on the next column, 1s on the next column. Okay, now here's what we do once we've done that. Now we're going to read down each column and total the points for each candidate separately. Okay, so you're like, okay, where in the world did these numbers come from? Let's break down Paul. Paul had 56, 10, 8, 4, and 1. So if we look at Paul in the first column, 56, second column 10, 8, 4, and 1. That's where those numbers are coming from. We're totaling up his points. Same thing for R. We're looking at 42, 30, 16, 16, 2. Just comes directly from the table. Like I said, 42, 30, 16, 16, 2. And we do this for each of the candidates. So S is 28, 40, 24, 8, 4. T is 14, 20, 32, 12, 3. Okay. Which, if we look at this and we total all these up, we see that P gets 79, R gets 106, S gets 104, and T gets 81. So because Rita has received the most points, she is the winner and the new president of the Student Film Institute. So I believe in our first method, Paul was the winner, counting it that way. In the second method, Rita is the winner, counting it this way. Is there any other way we could tally it? Of course there is. We can look at the plurality with elimination method. The candidate with the majority of first place votes is the winner. If no candidate receives a majority of first place votes, eliminate the candidate or candidates if there's a tie with the fewest first place votes from the preference table. Move the candidates in each column below each eliminated candidate up one place, the candidate with the majority of first place votes in the new preference table is the winner. If no candidate receives a majority of first place votes, repeat this process until a candidate receives a majority. Now, remember this. Majority means you have over 50% of the votes. Okay, majority means you have over 50% of the votes. Not that you have the most votes, but you have over 50% of the votes. That's what majority means. So let's look at this same instance here. So we want to know who is the winner of the Student Film Institute using the plurality with elimination method. Okay, well, right now as it sits with no adjustments here and no eliminations, Paul would be the winner, but because there are 37 people voting, in order to receive a majority, the candidate must receive more than 50% of the votes. This means that the candidate must score 19 or more votes. Now, how did we get that? How did we get that the candidate must score 19 or more votes? Well, if there are 37 people voting, and you have to score over 50% of the votes, then essentially what we're looking at here is 37 times 0.50. That should give us 18.5. Obviously can't get a half a vote, so we need to round up. And you're going to round up every time here, even if it was 18.1 or 18.01. You'd still round up because you can't get a portion of a vote. You have to go over the 50%. So we're going to round up to 19, and that's how we got 19. So the person has to get more than 19 votes in order to win this particular election. Okay, so let's do some elimination. We've done the plurality part. Let's do the elimination part. Okay, so here's the deal. Like I said, we have no person in the first round. Let's do another round. Okay, we're going to eliminate the person that had the fewest first place votes, and then we're going to move everybody else up. So Rita had the fewest first place votes. So we're going to eliminate Rita because she only had 4 first place votes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here. We're going to eliminate Rita. We're going to move everybody else up. Okay. This means that S moves into second place here. T moves in there. Then T here and P here. And then P here. And then, let's see, all 3 of these move up. So T, S, P. And then P moves here. So this will be your new table. And I've adjusted it and made it for you. Okay. So this is the new table. If you go back and match the numbers, this is what you see. So we got first choice, second choice, and third choice. Now, with this move up, what has happened is that our numbers have changed. Now, Paul still has 14 first place votes, but Sarah now has 11. Okay, Sarah and Sarah. Okay, Sarah now has 10 plus 1, which is 11. Tim has 8 plus 4, which is 12. Uh-oh, we still have a problem. Nobody's received that majority for 19. So we need to eliminate the person with the fewest first place votes. We need to eliminate Sarah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate Sarah. We're going to move everybody else up. Okay? So TP will go up there. We're going to eliminate Sarah. P will go up here. We're going to eliminate Sarah. P will go up here. We're going to eliminate Sarah. So TP. And then we're going to eliminate Sarah. T. Okay? So we got us a new table. I'm going to show this new table here. This is exactly what this new table looks like. So now what we're doing, Paul still only has 14 votes. But Tim now has 10 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1. So Tim now has 23 first place votes. And because 23 is bigger than 19, he has won the majority of the first place votes in this elimination method, plurality with elimination method. So Tim is now the winner. So Paul won it the first way, Rita won it the second way, Tim won it the third way. Of course, there's going to be a fourth way, right? Pairwise comparison method. Using the pairwise comparison method, every candidate is compared one-on-one with every other candidate. The number of comparison made using the pairwise comparison method is given by C equals N times N minus 1 over 2, where N is the number of candidates and C is the number of comparisons that must be made. Okay, important formula. Keep this one handy. If you're using this pairwise comparison method. Alright, so voters rank all the candidates and the results are summarized in a preference table. The table is used to make a series of comparisons in which each candidate is compared to each of the other candidates. For each pair of candidates, X and Y, use the table to determine how many voters prefer X to Y and vice versa. If a majority prefer X to Y, then X receives 1 point. If the majority prefers Y to X, then Y receives 1 point. If the candidates tie, then each receives half a point. After all comparisons have been made, the candidate receiving the most points is the winner. Let's look at it in this example. Same example, right? Still trying to figure out who is the winner of the Student Film Institute, but this time we're going to use the pairwise comparison method. Okay? So, same table as before, original table, but we're going to pairwise compare. In order to do this, we need to know how many comparisons we're actually going to have. Okay, so we're going to use that comparisons formula, that n times n minus 1 over 2. We're going to plug in 4 since we have 4 candidates, P, R, S, and T. So we plug in 4, and we get 4 times 4 minus 1 over 2, which simplifies down to 6. There are 6 comparisons that we have to make with these candidates. So we are going to compare each candidate with the other. We're going to compare P with R, P with S, P with T, R with S, R with T, and S with T, so that everybody gets compared with everybody else. And we're going to do so in this chart here. Okay, so if we look at each of these charts and we go P versus R, okay, what we're basically going to see is we're going to highlight each of the two in the chart and see who did better than each. Okay, so in the first pairing, P did better than R. In the second pairing, R did better than P. Third pairing, R did better than P. Fourth pairing, R did better than P. And fifth pairing, R did better than P. Okay, so what happens is because P beat R in the first one, we're going to give that 14 votes to P. Because R beat P in all the rest of them, we're going to give those votes to R. So R gets 10, 8, 4, and 1, while P only gets 14. Now 10 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1 is 23. And if we compare 14 to 23, then we see that R is going to win out. Okay, so R gets 1 point from this comparison. Now we compare P versus P versus S. So in the first one, P beats S. So 14 voters prefer P to S, but in all the rest of them, S beats P. So, S beats P, S beats P. Okay, so S gets 23, P gets 14. Therefore, S wins 1 point here because 23 is bigger than 14. We keep going and keep doing this. This time we're comparing P to T. Here, P beats T, but in all the rest of them, T beat P. So we see that P gets the 14 votes, and then the T gets the 23, which means that T beats P. So T gets a point. So right now, R has 1 point, S has 1 point, T has 1 point. We have 3 more comparisons to go. We've got to compare R to S. So we see in the first one that R beats S, but then S beats R, S beats R, R beats S here, S beats R. So 14 plus 4 for the R to S gives us 18 versus the S to R beating it. 10 plus 8 plus 1 are 19 for the voters that prefer S to R. So we see that S wins a point. We go through with S and T. So S beats T in the first one, S beats T in the second one, T beats S in the third one, T beats S in this one, and S beats T in this one. So we need to do 14, 10, and 1 for the S to T, and then 8 and 4 for the T to S. We see that S to T is a 25 to 12, so S wins this one. And in the very last one, we compare R to T. R wins on this one, R to T, R wins on this one, T to R, so T wins this one, R to T, so R wins this one, T to R, so T wins this one. So we got a 14, 10, 4 for a total of 28 for the R to T. And we got an 8 and 1 for the T to R, so clearly the R wins this 1 point. And what we see overall is that S has 3 points overall, R has 2 points overall, and T has 1 point overall, meaning that S, or Sarah, is the winner and new president of the Student Film Institute with the pairwise comparison method. So, depending on how you do it and how it's calculated, and done, and depending on the method you plan on using, we could actually see in this particular example that literally anybody can win. So it's very important to know how you're going to calculate your results before you even give the ballots out to the people who are electing. It's very important as a person who will be voting in the election that you know how the votes will be tallied so you can know how to vote accordingly. Okay? Because especially in this case, it could have been swayed either way depending on the calculation method. Okay? This completes 13.1. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I look forward to seeing you in 13.2.